So we're starting to see a lot of this stuff surface. These robots and laws being passed to facilitate that. Robots that help you do your shopping, robots that help you, deliver food and things like that. And so also there's a lot in the hospitality. I don't know if you're starting to see that, but there's robots that are, greet you when you get to a hotel, greet you when you go to a bank, all kinds of stuff like that, especially the hospitality, not so much the bank quite yet, but it's coming. And so even actually there are robots that are telling us the news. I talked about that last time. They are anchors on television. So, and these are becoming so real that you almost kind of, especially when it's a video or through television, you almost can't tell if it's real or not. And so all of these the machines, of course, you've heard of everything being also with a chip. You can open your garage door, you turn on your dishwasher, you can do all these practical things because of AI. And so all of this has to do, and so it's not just supposed to be practical in your daily life, but like I said, as you are walking around, the cars, the robots, the whole kind of energy of the physical world is becoming a machine-like. And so, and of course, with that, they're using this technology for surveillance. So for example, there are patents that have been filed a long time ago. All of this information, by the way, is in this recording that I'm going to send you, this video that I'm going to send you. It's all in there with all the details. So these patents have been filed a long time ago. We're talking 2001, 2004. These patents have to do, for example, with monitoring what type, anything that's moving, a moving vehicle. For example, if there's an airplane in your airspace, of course, we're talking about national security right now. And so they came up with this system that if supposedly after 9/11, so in 2001, but actually some of the patents exist from before. That's a different conversation. But the bottom line is these patents were filed to give the ability to detect airplanes or anything that's moving that doesn't belong where it should be. And so because of that, though there are many satellites that are all around, that all they're doing is detecting these moving vehicles. So it started out like that, but then they realized that, wait, if we can detect anything that's moving, then we can also detect people. We can detect where people are. And so without even putting a chip in you, you can use that same type of technology to, for example, find a criminal or something. Of course, it's connected to facial recognition and all sorts of type of information that's encrypted. And so just think about that for a moment. This means that through this technology, they can, and of course, if it is an airplane that is flying that doesn't belong where it should be, if it's in our airspace, because of national security, this technology can literally turn off or attack, if you will, this flying object, and basically bring it down, so it stops, so it can be not just detected but attacked and stopped. So like I said, this same technology can also be used to detect people. So if I can, through this technology, see an aircraft or a moving vehicle, and I can stop the engine just like that, could I also be doing the same to a human? And yes, indeed. So this is not just about surveillance, but it's also about, it's literally being used as a weapon. So I'm not telling you this to scare you. For those who know me, I am not a fearmonger. This is not about that. It's about understanding what is happening so that you can do something about it. Okay, so but just hang in there with me for a moment. Just to get that bigger picture so that you can equip yourself and focus on the right things and in the right way. As, hey honey, hey, mwah. As I begin to, Jamie, I love him. He's my GP and very, very good friend. And so all of this to say that these things are already happening, they're already in existence. And if you're not conscious, if you're not aware, then before you know it, it shows up. So this thing shows up here and this thing shows up there. And also, the technology that all of your information is included in your fingerprint. So we're not just talking about, information about your physical body, your physiology, your biology. We're talking about everything about you. Of course, your name, your address, your social security number, your banking information, your whole history. So that the idea, again, they're selling us this idea, saying that under the pretext that this will be very helpful and very practical. So you don't have to carry your wallet anymore. You just go anywhere. You go to your bank, you go to the airport, you travel. And simply by putting your fingerprint, they know who you are, they have your passport number, they have everything in there. And so it seems to be practical, but basically what they're saying is you are your wallet. You are all your information about you. That combined with the facial technology, when you have a system that it can pick up this information remotely, not only that, but used as a weapon. Like I said, if I think that there's a criminal, in fact, they did this experiment in China. They tested this because they not only have glasses that have that technology that they give to the police. The police can use these glasses and right away see through facial recognition technology, they can see who's what and who's a criminal and whose background, whatever. And so in the same way, they're doing this under the pretext of national security and the safety of the people. But they actually did an experiment where they pretended that one of the actually it was a BBC reporter, they wanted to put this to the test, and this BBC reporter was in the middle of Shanghai, and they wanted to see how quickly in a huge populated area, in a big city such as Shanghai, how efficient this technology was, and literally, supposedly to catch criminals. And so it literally took 20 minutes for the police to find this guy through using this technology in the middle of Shanghai. So all this to say that this is real. And so if this guy is supposed to be a serial killer or whatever, some criminal, this technology is not just for surveillance, but also to literally bring this person down. So for example, just like I could do this to a car, I could do this to this person's brain. Okay, are you scared enough? Okay, the good news is coming, so just hang in there. So I'm just telling you this for you to realize that it's not just about cute robots or about you having a chip to open your garage door, or all these like cute things that you do talk to your dishwasher or things like that. We're starting with the Alexa and things like I said, we're being fed this kind of acute way of inviting this robotic life, alongside or within, our human, natural, organic society. But it's all kind of getting mixed in together. So how do you think all of this machinery is going to operate? How do you think that you can have this sort of technology all over the place? You have satellites doing all kinds of stuff. This is where 5G comes in. You have to have is the speed. If everybody's talking to their machines and their cars and their dishwashers, and everybody is talking to the robot who's going to deliver your food, and everybody, do you realize the amount of wireless and information and the speed at which you have to deliver that information? You click on you open your email, and right away you expect that message to pop up, right? Well, in the same way, if I'm doing 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 things at the same time and operate my car, and how many billions are there on the planet doing things like that? Maybe not everybody, but so do you realize why the regular internet is just simply not good enough? And so that's the reason why there is this new technology called 5G, which is actually not just the next level of 4G, because it's not just 4G with more speed. It's actually a whole different way of sending the information. It pulsates differently. It emanates the electromagnetic field in a different way, and also on a very, very tiny scale. It's almost like a nanotechnology, not really, but it's something like that. It's like millimeters of penetration, if you will. So the signal is extremely detailed and powerful, and the way it emanates, I'm totally speaking like for layman language right now, but just to give you an idea, so that's the reason why it can do a lot more with a lot more speed, because it's constantly just going so deeply and so quickly into all kinds of machines and all kinds of technology. So all of that together, if you think about it again from a satellite point of view, how can you make all of this happen? We call this actually the Internet of Things, meaning it's the internet that operates material things, objects. And so now you have an internet that carries information. You have another internet that operates machinery and things, and the connection between the two. And there's another internet called the Internet of Skills, but I'm not going to get into that in this talk. But I'm going, like I said, for those who just joined, go to superhumanfilm.com and sign up. Just sign up for a newsletter or to stay updated, whatever. And I'm going to send you as a gift this whole presentation free of charge. As a gift. And you will see all those details and more. And this will give you a very good idea. And so now you are inside the planetary grid. We're walking on the Earth, and we are surrounded by the internet for information purposes. Then you have the internet, 5G operated Internet of Things that's moving all the machines. And then you have the Internet of Skills. So you see, it's starting to get very, very crowded. And so that's the reason why we have to, at this point, first of all, be very vigilant and very clear humans aren't aware. It's almost like you see something and then your mind goes into panic mode or into fear mode. We're not trained. That's the programming of the human mind. We're not programmed to quickly think of the solution. And so that's the training. That's why, like I said, again, I'm repeating this because that's why this year I'm focusing on this sort of workshops and training, Superhuman. I'm calling it Superhuman, but really it's the training of the mind, so that when you feel something, when you see something, you directly go into repair mode. Okay, so this is where I'm going to start to share the tools, the things that I've used before that happen, not just the 5G, but also, chemtrails, everything else that is in the environment that is happening to us, of course, to us. We're also part of this creation in some weird way. But anyway, before I get into the specific tools, because I want this to be very practical, do you have any questions? So go ahead and type in your questions. So of course, there has been many reports, scientific reports and papers published by scientists, like a couple of hundred, maybe even more than 200-300 scientific papers, and of course demonstrating the harmful effect of 5G, not just that, that it's fast and stuff, but how it affects the physiology, the biology, what it does to the cell, what it does to the organs, what it does to the DNA. It literally can go at that deep level of interference. And so the scientists have published all these papers and told, of course, the FDA, but the FDA is saying, well, it hasn't been proven, it hasn't been proven on humans yet because it's not out yet. And so we can't stop it from existing. It's kind of like we have to have a bunch of people die first for us to go, like cigarette smoking, we had to have millions of people die from that before we go, oh yes, that's right, we forgot to mention that. Anyway, that's the story. So also all this to say that it is a time, for those who listen to my talk on New Year's Eve, it is a time for you to take charge of you. I don't think we can look for governments anymore or for, associations or whatever. You have to look out for yourself. That's why more than ever before, you have to just figure out, every man for himself, figure out a way to find your balance, to strengthen your consciousness, to focus correctly, because that's what it's going to be like. And that's the reason why I'm doing all these talks and sharing all this information. Okay, so I'll take a few questions, then we'll move into the practical tools. So, thank you for sharing. Okay, Maria. So is 5G dangerous or something we should be concerned? Yeah, that's what I've been saying. 5G has very harmful effects, not just, like I said, for humans, for the body, the DNA, the cells, but also for plants and for animals. So it definitely has a damaging effect. Can the 5G technology tear or corrupt the new grid, which has been just updated? A great question. So I don't know if many people on the call are familiar with the planetary grid that I've been talking about and teaching about for many years, but the answer is no, because it's a different type of energy, which is actually related to the tools we're going to talk about. But what Sue is asking about, and for those who are new, if you are interested, I have a few talks, and of course in my books and in my classes, the planetary grid, I explain what it is, what it does. The grid serves to it's actually the time space, the fabric of space itself, which is the time space fabric continuum, but also a kind of a web-like structure within the fabric of space that allows communication, teleportation, transport and things like that. So anyway, that is the grid. So that grid, the new grid structure, has been repaired. So again, go back to my book and read those details. That grid has to do with the cosmic. It's almost like it's part of a universal consciousness that is upholding the earth itself. So by the way, if we didn't have this universal divine intervention, we would be long gone. I mean, there's just way too much toxic material, toxic waste, nuclear waste. There's all kinds of debris. We all know about the stuff, the plastic in the waters. In the space itself, there is so much debris that is still filtering through our atmosphere. We're breathing all kinds of crap, from human waste to debris from metals to paint, from all kinds of very, very toxic information. So we are surrounded by, and of course humans are still dumping more and more toxic material, toxic information. So there is no way this planet would have survived without this divine, this bigger picture. That's why I talked about that. You guys remember this diagram? Remember I mentioned the source frequency and the boundary that is kind of holding, the entire earth together so that it doesn't crumble and explode. So all this to say, Sue, that the grid system is that type of intelligence. So, and I talked about that last time. So a human creating as much damage, as much toxic, whatever they want to create, is never going to supersede the consciousness that created it. It's impossible. It's almost like, you're this, like my finger is part of my body, so it's all connected. But my finger, if it's hurting, I'm gonna know about it. I'm gonna feel it, and I'm probably gonna it's going to affect me. But my finger cannot decide what I want to eat. My finger cannot decide which job or which career I should have. I am the intelligence that is bigger. And again, it's not like bigger and smaller in a hierarchy kind of thing, but I am the large consciousness that made this finger, if you will. And so the finger can do certain things and annoy me and bother me, but it cannot supersede the larger intelligence. So that is the first comment that I want to make when we start talking about these tools, because you have to remember your organic consciousness can supersede. It's not easy, especially that we're bombarded. It's not just one thing. It's 5G this and 5G that, and so we're being bombarded, and that's the reason why the more understanding and clarity you have and tools, you're more prepared and you will know what to do. But that is the first principle, is for you to remember that your higher consciousness is connected to this larger consciousness. So anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Okay, what can we do against the radiation? I'm going to talk about that. Do you think 5G will be introduced in every country, or do you expect? Yes, it will pretty much in every country. Certain countries will be behind, but eventually it will be. Although I think some other things will happen to stop all of this from happening. So, but for now, let's just say it is happening. Can anyone else feel a sensation or tingling feeling in your left hand when using your phone? Hello. I literally cannot put the phone to my ear. I cannot, even just holding it like this, like you're saying, I can feel, I cannot even walk into Best Buy. Best Buy, for those who are foreigners, it's a store that has all electronics. And so, in fact, you can do a test. I did that with someone. They couldn't believe it. I did a muscle testing when they were holding the phone versus not holding the phone. The radiation is amazing. I mean, not in a good way. It's crazy. And so that's the reason why I can literally, if I bring it this close, I start to have a headache. So yes, absolutely. And think about what it would be if that radiation was 10 times worse. Okay. Probably we can't stop all the things like 5G from being rolled out. So how do we deal with, okay, so I'm going to talk about that. Most of us live in the range of multiple 5G. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. I want to know if it's not just 5G, if you have questions or concerned about something specific. Just influencing the old grid, we're safe. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Okay, I think if it's affecting the DNA, yes, for degeneration, exactly. So Cayenne, I felt it. Okay, all right. I'm just like making sure there's not a question that I'm not going to address. Talk a little bit about the lying and telling false fact that is going on all levels now. Just like seeing whether a human is human or not is okay. So I'm not going to get to today. I want to focus more on the environmental and those types of the technology stuff. But again, if you I'm going to make this file available until the end of the month. You can watch and see you can see all the information about also how at one point, so there's going to be a robot like a non-organic technology that you won't be able to see. You won't be able to tell if I'm fake or not. I mean, if I am really an organic being or not. So that's what Kim is talking about. But I'm going to you guys just watch, just send me your email, like I said, and I will just give you that file and you will see all the visuals and all the information about that. So, okay, which technology? Okay, so let's just go. The same thing with fake videos and fake, yeah. So I mean, so the technology also is being used to make you imagine or think, or for example, somebody can use technology to make me say something that I didn't say. And this technology is extremely precise. In fact, the CIA wanted to use it to create all sorts of campaigns. We're not going to know if a political person actually is telling us what they're telling us. And so that's the reason why, again, I'm bringing it back to you training your mind to be as discerning as possible. So that's the reason why this is the year. If you haven't started working with me all these years, even for those of you who started this year, it's going to be concentrated on mind discipline, for discernment, for shifting quickly, for knowing what's going on, for seeing, I know exactly what this is fake, this is not fake. That speed, you need to get at that speed. So anyway, all right, let's talk about the specific tools that you can do. Of course, very practical thing. The first thing that, of course, that I'm not teaching you anything here. Electromagnetic radiation, even 5G can be shielded with fabric, copper, or galvanized metal. I prefer copper because copper also shields radio waves. So it's not just and acoustic waves. So it's not just electromagnetic waves, but acoustic and radio waves. And so because of that, so what I think, what you can do is simply go out and buy a metal, a copper shield. This, you can find that on the internet, and at least have one room, because obviously if you cut off from all electromagnetic, then you won't get internet either. So So that's the reason why you should, maybe have one room or two, whatever. Anyway, this is kind of a very simple, practical thing that you can do to protect at least part of your environment, especially if you know that they're putting up towers not too far. Although now the 5G technology, is so powerful that in some places you don't even need a tower close by. I mean, you can be in a small town between two big cities, and the technology could still kind of filter through. So you can buy an electromagnetic meter. You can download an app. This is super easy. Just go to I'd use, there's a Tesla, whatever, electromagnetic meter. And you can simply see where the radiation in your house is the strongest. And you can maybe shield that part, especially your bedroom. So this is something you can do. Another thing we start talking about that is vibration. All of this, these are all machines. These are all, like the television is emitting 50 hertz, 60 hertz, whatever. All these electronic devices have a frequency. And this is a very, very low frequency. 50 hertz is very, very low. And so if your cellular vibration is maintained at a much higher frequency, then you almost cannot, it's like you won't be affected as much. And so we talk about raise your vibration as just a thing. It's actually literally true that the frequency, the vibration of your cells and your brain waves it is very, very important. And so that's the reason why, because my frequency, like right now, for example, is at 937 hertz, my whole body. But if I touch this is, let's say, 50 hertz, let's say, just an example. So now a part of it's kind of penetrating in my field of 1100 or 900 hertz, and it's starting to break my field. You see, it's starting to create this hole in my field, and if I put it to my ear, it's even worse. And so that's why if I keep everything kind of as far as possible from me as possible from you, and also create this bubble and maintain this bubble of higher vibration, this is not just like woo-woo stuff. This is literally true. And so that is raising your vibration. Of course, for those who are new and for those who are not new, connecting to source, go to my website, carolinecorey.com. On the main page, there is a meditation called Connecting to Source. And so that meditation takes right away your mind channels and your cellular vibration to 1,000 hertz, to 1,100 hertz, depending. But anyway, right away in 7 minutes. And so if you do that every day, morning and night, it's almost like your brain and your cellular memory knows that that's your default setting, if you will. That's where you should be always reset, you see. And so if I reset myself all day long at 1,000 hertz and I'm out in the world, and I touch something, or I'm inside an environment, or these waves are coming through, they're going to right away. Also, that brings me to the next point. First of all, it will not be a match, because if I'm vibrating at 50 hertz, which would be extremely low, but if I'm vibrating at a very, very low frequency, then that's a perfect match. You all know the law of attraction. This is how it works. 50 hertz, boom. And so you don't have to be at 50 hertz. You could be at 150 hertz, which is close enough to that 50. And so the closer you are, the more you get dragged into this. And so that's the reason why it's almost like, hey, I'm inviting this radiation in because I'm very similar, very close to it. And so That's the reason why I'm really insisting on the fact that raising your vibration is not just a woo-woo thing. It's not a new age thing. More than ever, be conscious of it and do something about it. It's free of charge. Go to the website, do it morning and night, and be conscious of it. Like visualize it. Like visualize that you're walking with this field of vibration that's extremely high. Like the more you focus on it, the more you become it, and the more you also recognize your default setting. And so, which brings me to the next point, which is discernment. So that's the reason why, I don't remember who mentioned it, that's the reason why when I touch this, right away I feel it. It doesn't take me, I don't have to talk on the phone for 15 minutes for me to feel it. So that is discernment, because I've trained myself to be in this higher vibration so many times. So as soon as this contact happens, the default settings goes, whoa, what just happened here? You right away reject it. And so that is the reason why. And so that is discernment, you see. My energy field discerned a frequency that is so far from where what it's used to, that right away it rejects it, and so I'm not allowing that information into my being. So that's the reason why. So this training helps you with the discernment, which brings me to the next point. The next thing is for you to, again, the default setting of your reaction. So when I feel this, first of all, it gives me a headache right away. So instead of saying, so for example, the first reaction, normal human reaction, would be, oh, this is so strong, and what are they doing to us, and blah, blah, blah. And so you go into this fear mode, this discomfort mode, as opposed to the reversal mode. So as soon as you sense you came in contact with something, right away, you don't have to know why or how, whatever. Just right away say, this is a very uncomfortable frequency. I am reversing whatever just happened. Visualize that you're going back in time. And for example, if I just picked up this phone a few seconds ago, so I'm going to go back in time about a minute ago, for example, and in my consciousness, reverse what I just did. In my mind, it sounds like, for those who are not used to hearing me talk or hearing me or doing this kind of stuff, it sounds crazy, but it's not. It actually works. It's almost like you just put in information in your consciousness and in your body, and now you're saying, no, I didn't. And so if you do that, thank you for your response, for those who get it. Yeah, thank you. So the thing is, as soon as you say, no, I didn't, I didn't do that. And even if I did, like, you can say, no, I didn't, because sometimes you don't believe that, that is true. But you can also say, whatever is just happened, I'm deleting it. Delete. Press delete. So for example, let's say I feel that some sort of electromagnetic something came into my head, right? So I reverse it. I pretend, I visualize wherever that impact is or was. I do a rewind and I visualize that it just got pushed out and then the field closed back again. Does that make sense? So all of these quick reactions are so helpful, because as you go throughout the day, you're not waiting for one thing to accumulate over one thing accumulates and then another and then another. And by the end of the day, you have this pile of stuff, of energetic, harmful stuff that piled up on you. And now you have to you're exhausted, then you go to bed, and then the next day you start again. You see? And so that's the reason why. So just begin to train yourself. This just happened. I reversed it. I go to a store, or I'm having lunch with my friend, whatever, and I drink water. I'm sensing the frequency of the water. It's not totally clean, or maybe I didn't pay attention because I'm talking, whatever. I drink the water, but I right away feel, wasn't very pure, very clean. Right away. No, I didn't drink it. No, it didn't happen. I ask and focus on my cells to return, to reverse, rewind, whatever they received, and now they purged it back, and then I seal back my energy. Does that make sense? I walk somewhere and I come in contact with or I go into Best Buy, my favorite store. I cannot walk into Best Buy, but let's say I need to buy a hard drive. I have to go in. Of course, I can do it online, but it's just an example. So I know that this energy is going to affect me. So before I go in, I prepare myself. I say, okay, I focus on this very, very strong shield. I say, okay, nothing's going to affect me. I go in, do my thing, and quickly go out and make sure that my field remained intact. You see, all of these little things sounds, I don't know how they sound, but I'm telling you, if you train yourself, you are first of all becoming conscious. You are conscious of what you are doing and how you are interacting with the physical world. And you are always saying, I don't want this. I don't like this. Or I could feel this. This is not who I am. Whatever. So you are a conscious being inside this crazy mess. Okay. Another thing, food and water. Of course, simple thing you can imagine that eating well, or this is just simple thoughts. Eating organic food, because again, you're adding more stress on the body if you're now also ingesting food that has artificial things or is not as clean and pure as possible. And so now you're making your cells cleaner and purer. I recommend foods that are very high in oxygen, like greens, spirulina, aloe vera, things that oxygenate the body, because oxygen also is a higher frequency, and then it helps everything that is not a lower frequency, basically is, for example, viruses. Viruses cannot survive in a high oxygen atmosphere environment. So that's the reason why you want to, take advantage, pay attention to foods and water as well. And some people like crystals, to surround yourself with crystals. There's a couple of, I think there's a crystal, shungite, I think it's called, shungite crystals, orgonite. Those types of crystals also help with the electromagnetic field. If that is something that you like to do, you can also surround maybe yourself with that. And I would say it's not just the crystal, but the geometry of the crystal itself that I would pay attention to. So, for example, a sphere would have a different frequency and a different effect than a pyramid. And so I would personally, if it's specifically for electromagnetic radiation or that sort of thing, I would well, it depends on how you position it in your physical space, but I would position the triangle with the point pointing away from you. That's how I would position these crystals, if that is interesting. Okay. There's also, let's talk also another thing, chemtrails. I'm very, very sensitive to chemtrails because it's all, by the way, chemtrails also have to do with 5G, because all of this information, the stuff that is affecting the brain, is also riding on the 5G waves. It's riding on this matrix, this internet of things, like I mentioned earlier. And so that's the reason why chemtrails, and I don't know where you guys live, but every now and then it's really, really bad. In LA, sometimes the skies are like horrible. And so I'm very sensitive. I wake up in the morning and I can tell that it has been chemtrails. In fact, I can see the skies, but usually the effect is confusion, depression. It's almost like a cloud because of all the toxicity that is dripping in the atmosphere. I don't know how you guys feel, but for me, chemtrails, and I hope you're making notes of all of this because anyway, I will have the recording, but it's good to have. So if you have a foggy brain, if you cannot concentrate, if you feel depressed and have kind of like this anxiety, this floating anxiety, that's typical of chemtrails. So I've tried a few things with chemtrails. I've tried, for example, when I see the airplanes, I do a few things. Well, first of all, I make sure I am right away sealed and protected. And again, I reject, I delete and reverse whatever just happened, whether I was asleep, conscious or unconscious. You don't have to know exactly what it did. You just say, if it did, then I'm purging it again. That's all you need to know. So purge. But then I don't want this thing to be dumped over my head. And so sometimes I focus on the plane itself. And I don't know how the fumes are coming out. Maybe the pilot himself doesn't know. Maybe he's, I don't know how, all the details about that. You can read more about it. But all I know is that there's something inside the airplane that is making those fumes come out. So I go to the kind of the board, where the pilot kind of has all the controls or whatever. And I just focus, I find the button or the switch that turns the fumes on, and I turn it off. And again, for those who have never listened to me, might think this is totally crazy. But I'm telling you, this works. I've tried it several times and all of a sudden the fumes stop. So coincidence? Yeah, maybe. I hope so. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as it stops. And so I can either focus on the switch and make it stop, because I don't want the guy, maybe the pilot is a nice guy. Maybe he doesn't know, maybe he, it's not like he's being told something, or maybe it's already switched on. And then when the plane gets to a certain height, it just does it. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So I focus on that pipe that is going from the switch to that. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is I don't want to harm the guy and I don't want to harm the plane. I just don't want to be dumped on. And so, So because of that, I did that a few times. Try it. Let me know if it works. And all of a sudden, suddenly, it's almost like something got switched off. The fumes stop. Sometimes, for some reason, there's a bunch of them. And so another reaction that I have is neutralize. So you can, as you know, in chemistry, you can transmute chemical. You can transmute chemistry. And so you don't have to know what type of metal was just dumped on you. You can focus on transmuting metal into into a harmless metal, into a harmless energy. And so then you are neutralizing the effects of that metal. And so neutralizing, focus on, I'm neutralizing whatever came in through my body. This also works for if you just drink something or eat something that wasn't very good for you, and then you realize, oh, I just did that. So you can neutralize the effect of because it's all chemistry. So you can transmute with your mind. And I can tell you, in the film, which I hope you're all going to watch it, the film Superhuman, we literally show and prove and demonstrate how with your mind you can change the chemistry of the water. We can change I'm not the first one who's done this experiment. It's in the film. We did it so many times. We did it in a lab. If you can change the chemistry of water, means you can change with your mind, then you can change chemistry, period. Why? If you know what I'm saying. So this has been proven and demonstrated over and over and over. So now I use this tool to neutralize and affect any sort of chemistry that doesn't work for me. So again, I'm not interfering with what people are doing or telling them what to do. I'm just in control of my being. I know what works for me, and I know what I want to create for myself. So that is, these are the tools that you can, again, I repeat, quickly. That is, if there's one thing that you can take away from today, is to have a quick reaction throughout the day as you observe or feel or sense, and not let it accumulate. Another thing, I hope you're enjoying this. I just have a couple of more things. I don't know, this is getting maybe harder, but you can also use your consciousness to fast forward and see the future. We talked about that briefly with in the last talk, but you can navigate the time-space continuum and basically go forward in time just on your timeline. You're not saying, am I going to win the lottery? That's not what I'm talking about. And you're not saying who's going to win the election. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your own timeline and things that are very easy and simple. Let's say taking a trip. Okay, so it's your timeline, it's your trip. You're not, so for example, or another quick example that I do all the time. You are running late, or you're getting nervous because you're gonna miss your flight. Okay, so it's your timeline, and you're accumulating all this anxiety and all this stress. And so if you were to focus on the time-space grid, and imagine like it's a bunch of grids, but then focus on your timeline and focus on you taking this trip, you can fast forward to, let's say the departure time is 3 p.m. or something. You can fast forward to 3 p.m. and now it's 1:30 and you're stuck in traffic and it's a disaster. You fast forward to 3 o'clock and simply see or feel yourself. Are you sitting on the plane or not? If you do this correctly, if you train yourself to do this correctly, 100% of the time you will know exactly what's going to happen. So if you see yourself sitting on the plane, means you're going to make it and you're totally fine. If you're not going to make it, trust me, you're going to have a hard time visualizing. It's almost like, even though you try to project even yourself sitting on the plane, you're not going to be able to. So this tells you you're not going to make. This is just an example. And so that's the reason why this is all training. And it's the same thing with if there are fires or if there are, environmental problems or things like that. So what does that do? If I see myself already at that destination, if I see myself already sitting on the plane, then I can relax. The problem is when you stress and create all this anxiety, again, you're changing your vibration. You're changing your vibration, and here's a guy, then you get into a crash. You see what I mean? So vibration, you are vibration. You are interacting with the physical world, which is vibration. You're bombarded with vibration, and you are moving inside all of this vibrational field. So maintaining your vibration means maintaining your focus, maintaining your stress level, and your discernment. Okay, So, I have a couple more things, but this is pretty much it. Same thing, like, for example, I hate those detectors, like on the airplane, how they make you do this, which is ridiculous. So what I do, for example, is I don't want to be affected by anything, even though they tell you, oh, it's very minimal radiation or whatever, like it's not an x-ray or anything. I don't care what they say. I get affected and I don't like it. So same thing. Before going in, I create a shield that literally actually not only protects me from whatever waves are coming in. It's almost like they're going to bounce off. They're going to come in and bounce off. They're not going to go inside. That's one thing. But you can also create a shield where you make yourself invisible. Again, it's not like you're going to disappear, but the frequencies that are, for example, for facial recognition or all kinds of stuff, any sort of machines that are detecting information about you, you can also do that. All of this is done just through the intent, through the consciousness, because you are once again your organic consciousness is bigger, is stronger, it's wider. As soon as you are operating at this level, at this higher frequency, you are merged back. You are kind of in connection with the source frequency. It's like you are in tandem. This is you here. This is source frequency here. So wherever you go, you have this force, this additional life force that's behind you. But this requires, and everything in between, everything else is in between you and that. And so, but that requires that you are a match to this higher frequency, you see. And so, and there's nothing bigger than that source frequency. There's nothing higher, because it's all that is. Again, my finger cannot be my body, cannot be my brain, cannot supersede my brain. It cannot make decision, what to do in my life, what to eat, does that make sense? And so that is kind of the vision and the perspective, that if you were to be able to sustain that with the training that I'm offering, and this type of focus over and over and over, you will not be affected. You will navigate through this 3D life with more grace, more ease, and that's that. Okay, questions? Let's see. I just tuned in. What about teaching in front of class? Is it the same thing as what you explained? Yes. In fact, when I stand in front of a group as well, I feel bombarded with people's energy, and I feel all kinds of stuff. Sometimes it's, people are going through things, or sometimes they're attacking, or they're angry, or whatever. So same thing. It's difficult, but before you start, you create this shield, and you imagine it's bouncing off. It's bouncing off of you. And then again, this is called spiritual hygiene, energetic hygiene, whatever you want to call it. Every day when you do this connection, 7 minutes, go to the website. It's free. Connecting to source. Not any meditation does the trick. Different meditations do different things. I'm not saying to give up your meditation, whatever it is that you're doing, to do this meditation. I'm saying do this meditation for this purpose. For specific frequency alignment, for the matching of source frequency, for aligning your mind channel, for discernment, so on and so forth. And so if you did that in the morning and at night, just like you take a shower, just like you brush your teeth, train yourself to flush out whatever accumulated that I didn't pay attention to. Maybe something happened when I went to the store or Starbucks or whatever, and it just like I feel a bit off. You don't have to feel off. Assume that something happened, because I guarantee something happened. Everybody's walking around with attachments and things, plus now all this technology. So probably you've accumulated a few things. So at the end of the day, flush yourself out of, just imagine all of these things being flushed out from every cell in the body. Same thing, that meditation does the same thing, connecting to source on my website, carolinecorey.com. Super easy, free of charge. Okay, chemtrails. Define what you mean by chemtrails. Chemtrails? Oh, just look around in the skies. I think everybody just look them up. I'm surprised that you are not aware of chemtrails by now. Okay. Let's see. That is working very well. There's a blue shield. Yeah, okay. So you can look for things. Like I said, I like the copper shielding, like I said, because it's also radio waves. Isn't it the frequency 900,000? No, cancer cells are very, very low vibration, not at all. So cancer cells are vibrating very slow and very low. Blue shield did nothing for me. Okay, so it's one of those things where you're going. That's why I recommended different things, different options, different products are going to work differently for you. And like I said, just use a meter, a EMF meter, and just see if it works for you. Just walk around the house and see, and try the orgonite or try the shungite, try the crystal, try the whatever, and then see if it did the trick, and also how you're feeling. Okay. I'm making dinner right now, all organic. There you go. Since moving to LA area, I feel exactly like you. Also having headaches and burning eyes. I cannot breathe in LA. I mean, I struggle because I feel not only the energy of, the consciousness that's very chaotic, but the air space is so filled with toxic material. Of course, people think it's smog or whatever, but it's way beyond that. And so it's very, very difficult. Okay, so some people are just discussing the different products or what have you. Again, it's one of those things. Some people say it works. Okay, so awesome. Let me see if there's a question. Okay, vaccination. That's another thing that, okay, right now, eventually, and it's very, very possible that vaccination becomes required. In fact, I think some vaccination has become, I don't know, I don't remember. But again, let me tell you something. So you can reverse, just like I said with food, because vaccination is also chemistry. You're ingesting a product, a substance, and if you don't want it, you neutralize it, you focus on it. Again, all of these tools I'm going to teach in the workshop Superhuman. Go to the website superhumanfilm.com, go to the workshops, and all of this training for those who would like to. I'm happy, and that's what I'm doing this whole year, focusing on those types of things. But neutral. So as you focus on the substance itself, you neutralize it, you transmute it. Like I said, I've demonstrated again the experiment where we're focusing on water, shifting the pH of water in 5 minutes. I think, I don't remember. We shifted by a whole decimal, which is huge. It's huge. And so just by focusing, and so if you can do that to water, you can do that to any substance, including vaccines. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, so even if this were to happen, you can arm yourself with these tools. And that's the reason why I'm saying this is not, don't wait for the vaccine. All day long, you have to be conscious. This just happened. Shift, reverse, delete. And so, but I want to tell you something, this maybe would be helpful. You have to realize once again that the bigger story, the bigger picture is not man-made. It's almost like, again, here's the drawing, by the way. You remember? So humans are creating all this mess inside this, okay? They're like doing, here's a chemtrail and this 5G, blah, blah, blah. But around it, and look above it, you see, there's a larger consciousness that is kind of, again, I don't like to, some human terms are difficult. Supervising, kind of observing, helping, whatever. So, and it's not like there's a bunch of people taking notes and saying, oh, these humans aren't doing a good job. It's not like that. It's the intelligence of the universe that already exists. So it's not like we're being told what to do. It's not hierarchy. It's like we're part of the universe. Earth is part of the universe. Earth is not the universe. Humans are not the universe. Hello. Okay. So whatever they're doing, you have to realize that they can never supersede this larger consciousness. And so because of that, if eventually, and that's why I showed you that boundary, this timeline, eventually when it gets to a point where it is so off track, it is so misaligned with this larger intelligence, it's almost like it becomes so misaligned, and this larger intelligence is no longer coherent. This larger intelligence will, again, I'm using human terms. It's not like it's going to step in, but it's going to do, it's kind of like your body. If you eat something that's bad for you, your immune system is going to attack it. So it's kind of like that. It's to help your body. It's not attacking you. So it's kind of like that. The immune system of the universe is going to operate when it becomes so critical. And what I mean by critical is if free will of humanity is being taken away from them to an extreme point, meaning if everybody's required to become vaccinated, everybody's required to, do the fingerprinting, whatever. If it gets to a point where the intelligent life of humanity is compromised, then this is where the immune system of the universe, let's say, kind of steps in, because it's becoming the disease is so strong that in order for the universe to survive, it needs to bring in this immune system and those types of things, and that translates into geophysical events. And I'm going to tell you, all of this technology, as incredible as it may sound, still relies on electricity. You don't have electricity, you don't have internet. Okay? So if I come in and there is a major earthquake that takes out the electricity in not just your little area, but in an entire country for 7 days, that's going to stop you. That's going to make a big problem for you. You see what I'm saying? So these are the types of immune system, where the intelligence of the universe needs to take care of itself. And so that's the reason why, as uncomfortable and yucky and harmful as all of these things that we're being bombarded with are happening, we're still experiencing. It doesn't mean that the fact that the universe has our back doesn't mean that we no longer experience this. We are still observing, just watch the news. We're still being bombarded with all of this. But again, here's another very important thing. The more you not only take charge of you, the more you are helping the universe. It's almost like you're helping yourself, but you're also helping universe maintain and sustain this healthy space, if that makes sense. And so that's the reason why what you do every day. In other words, not because the universe has our back that I'm just going to sit and and eat potato chips and be bombarded with electromagnetic and I don't care, because at the end I'm going to be fine. No, it doesn't work this way. First of all, because your 3D experience is going to be horrible. That's one thing. You're going to self-destruct very quickly, and those around you. And second, you're not collaborating. You're not in coherence with the universe. So you're also kind of going in the wrong direction. Does that make sense? Anyway, that's about it. Let me see. So I think let me see. There's quite a few messages here. Oh, that's a good question. Can we create a shield around someone else to protect them? It's a great question. Yes, you can, and no, you can't. It depends if the person, this is for those who studied with me, healing, surrogate healing and remote healing. When I'm healing a child, because they are autistic, so they cannot communicate with me and tell me it's okay for me to work with them. But when you work at this higher level of consciousness, you will be conscious of their state of their higher consciousness. So it's not almost like you're not talking to them and asking them permission. Your higher consciousness is merging with their higher consciousness. So you're going to know if they're open to it or not. It's a little bit like the airplane thing. You can't project and pretend that it's okay. You're just not going to be able to do it. And so most of the time they are open. And so you're going to project this shield of protection on them. Most of the time they will accept it and take it on. But sometimes they will not accept it, and you will feel that resistance. And that's what it is. Okay, so there's quite a lot of more information that we can talk to. Again, sign in if you'd like me to send you this free detailed information about all of this. But I think, I hope this was helpful. I hope you got some interesting tools I'm going to be doing a podcast on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. But at least this year, I want you to focus on you empowering yourself with the power of your consciousness. Again, every man for himself. What do I need to do to train my mind to be calm, quiet, centered, clear, discerning? This is the training for this year. It's going to be more and more and more relevant, extremely crucial, like I said, especially with what is happening, all the lies, all the fake reality, what's real, what's not real, more than ever before. I highly recommend that you take that seriously and empower yourself with this training. Again, for the new folks, go to my website, carolinecorey.com. Go to the free meditations, the free connecting to source. My YouTube channel has a lot of free stuff, and the calendar has all the workshops that I'm going to be teaching live. Okay? Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it and it was helpful, and I'll see you next time.